Welcome to everyone who's joining us today on another episode of Spirits in the Material World. This is your host, Sean Blankenship, and we got a banger today. We got a banger. Today's guest is Ted Townsend, who is the CEO and president of the Greater Memphis Chamber.
That's right.
And
hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone. And we're set up in the official headquarters studio of the Greater Memphis. Greater Memphis
you
Chamber.
had it right. Greatest.
The greatest.
Yeah.
It just rolls easier.
It does. And now we are.
By the way, I say that a lot.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people do. We don't correct them anymore.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, we're in the Talk Chamber. This is our dedicated space for the Talk Chamber podcast that we launched this year.
A sweet setup.
It is.
Just walk in, sit down, and we've got some guests.
We do.
Today we've got Taylor Ann, who is the queen of the Talk Chamber.
Right.
Here at the greatest Memphis Chamber, and a huge Taylor Swift fan, because I saw the notepad. And my business partner, Angie Wares, joined us.
Hello, Angie.
As we discussed, she's my chaperone. So,
yeah, well.
Yeah. Every now and then you got to smack me back into line.
That's okay. We'll do that. I'll keep you there, Sean. It's fine.
So we'll buckle up, everybody.
Okay.
We got more content that we're going to be able to get to today, but
for those not seeing this,
right,
I have guitar socks on.
Oh yes, so he is in the Mojo of Spirits and Material. Absolutely, he's got the black and blue guitar socks on.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the blue and the black outfit.
Yeah,
very, very bluesy today.
Yeah,
I love it.
It's Friday,
because we're going to try to sprinkle that into everything.
Okay, it's Friday in the digital delta.
Nice.
Nice. See how I did that?
You did. I have a feeling you got a few more like that. We're going to talk about
you
that.
Better buckle up.
All right. Yeah. I feel like this might go like me starting off, and then all of a sudden it's going to turn on me. Yeah, I'm just going to end up sitting here drinking my coffee. Well, for those of you who don't know, I got a quick intro that I'm going to do for everybody. So let me go up here real quick. I've got
my bio.
I do have that.
Is it all the way back to my birth?
No. And funny that you bring that up.
Grok didn't have that.
Either did Chat. No, there was
I not born?
There was some nuggets in here, and I specifically tried to find out.
Oh boy,
a little bit more about your personal life.
Yeah,
and you must have that pretty locked down.
Oh,
very interesting.
Yeah.
So,
I'm an enigma.
So we're gonna pull. You know what? I know why this isn't working. Taylor Ann, what's the Wi-Fi? Stumped the first question right out of the gate.
Do we want the secure or the guest Wi-Fi?
Oh, I don't care. It doesn't matter.
I think the secure is faster.
So we're just going to go anyways. I
mean, it's recording.
It's recording,
right?
Yeah. So for those of you that aren't familiar with Ted, Ted has been in economic development for, I think, around the past 10 years.
A
little longer. Prior to that, Ted was involved, I believe, either as founder and or CEO of Argentis.
Yeah, I was co-founder and chief operating officer.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Here in Memphis.
Yes.
Ted is a self-proclaimed Memphis tourist.
Yes.
So apparently you like to take walks on Main Street or South Main.
I do. All over downtown.
Mm-hmm. Funny fact, I think, one of your favorite things to do is shop.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Got that. So we'll have to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. I love the threads.
Mm-hmm. From Detroit?
No.
Okay. I had a feeling that was wrong.
That's so wrong.
It was really wrong.
Detroit.
Maybe it had to do with, I don't know, Detroit Rock City. I don't know.
Well,
maybe, I don't know. But we'll talk about where you're from.
We'll talk about it.
And we'll talk about you're passionate about the Grizzlies.
Mm-hmm.
You're passionate about music. You do have a favorite Grizzly.
Yeah.
I found that out. So we'll have to talk about that.
Okay.
And then we're going to dive into some of your your big wins, your big success stories.
Yeah.
I think I saw somewhere where you referred to them as your Pele-sized moments, but that might be jogging your memory a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because Pele was the GOAT.
He was.
So if you're going to do it, you got to go for it.
Yeah. I think I'd rather be Pele than Tom Brady.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I'm okay with Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan, not bad.
Not bad. Now, would you consider Jack Nicklaus or Tiger Woods?
Jack. It's not even a question.
It's not even a question, right?
You know, and
yeah.
Now, if they were head to head with the current product, you know, Jack probably started out with Persimmon Woods.
Yeah.
But there's the mentality. They both had that. They had the game.
Oh, no doubt.
But all around character and all that, if I put all that into their longevity, unfortunately, Tiger's physically had he's physically.
Yeah.
If he probably didn't have those physical issues,
he'd still be winning.
There'd be no more record books. It would be the Tiger Woods record book.
Exactly.
So
Taylor Ann has a Wi-Fi password. We're going to tell it to everyone.
Oh,
no,
she's just going to plug it in. Watch.
This one's a little complicated to
watch. She's going to do it, so we don't have to tell everybody. So Ted, I would love to know. Like, I want to dive into what we talked about. Some of your passions, not related necessarily to work.
To work,
right?
Okay, yeah.
We do want to talk about work.
Yes.
Which we talk about a lot.
Yeah, we do.
Offline. But I am interested in sort of where were you born? Where'd you grow up?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about maybe what shaped the Ted today.
Sure. So I was born in Biloxi, Mississippi, on the Gulf Coast.
All right, there you go.
Yeah, my dad was in the Air Force, and so both my parents were born and raised in Memphis. I've got multiple generations that were born and raised here. Also on both sides, folks immigrated to the U.S., so I'm part Italian as well. And anyway, that being said, I was born at Keesler Air Force Base in Biloxi, and my dad was then transferred from there to Lackland in San Antonio. Lackland and Kelly, they have two there. So we were there, and you know, I wasn't very old, but they were worried about my health. I wasn't, you know, having a great time there, and they thought that perhaps I had leukemia. And so, given the fact that my dad and mom were both from Memphis, he had some connections, and he switched his entire career in the Air Force. I mean, he had been a drill sergeant. He was in training. He ended up retiring as a master sergeant, but he changed his career for me to get us back home to Memphis, getting close to St. Jude. That's what they said. You got to get to St. Jude. So fortunately, I don't have any wood to knock on. Oh, is that? That's probably press board. You're pointing to my head, Sean.
Yeah. Go
That's
ahead.
wood? Okay. I'll do that.
It works just as good. It's not wood, but it works just as good.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's, you know, for good luck.
I don't want you to hurt your brain, though.
No.
We need that.
We need that for at least 2 hours. That being said, I was fine, thank God. And but the move was made, and my dad went into recruiting, and he finished his career with the Air Force. So that's how we got back here. I grew up in the Bartlett area. Went to Ellendale Elementary, go Bears. And went from kindergarten all the way through to 8th grade. Actually, they expanded it and made it a middle school instead of going to Shadowlawn, which a lot of Bartlett kids did. And then they redrew the lines, and every neighborhood north of Memphis, Arlington here in Bartlett, they made us go to Bolton, go Wildcats. So I went to Bolton High School.
Getting a lot of plugs in here.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the early part of my life.
All right. What did you? Were there any things that happened in the early part of your life that you would say you reflect on today as shaping your character or leadership style, or things that maybe your parents had an influence on?
Oh yeah, infinite influence from my parents. But I think, you know, my dad was a storyteller. and he could take not much content and just entertain people.
Right.
And so I grew up seeing that and seeing his family just respond to it, and friends. We hosted a lot of people at our house, so the house was always full, and Dad was on show, So I always appreciated that. I mean, he taught me how to look someone in the eye and give them a firm handshake, and
it's important.
Be polite and a gentleman, and I always was recognized that I was Teddy growing up. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then third grade, I got tired of all the kids making fun of Teddy, teddy bear, this, whatever. And so I shortened it to Ted.
It's Ted.
I said, no more. I'm not Teddy anymore.
But I bet you the ladies like Teddy, though.
Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know about that.
You didn't know? Okay.
I'm not an authority on that. But, but I will say that when I hear someone call it, it's either a family member or an old school friend. So
nice.
It's always nice to hear.
So it's a term that you...
I find it, a term of endearment.
Yeah,
sure.
Okay, awesome.
Could be worse.
Were you extroverted then, right out of the gate because of your father?
I would say so. Yeah, I loved getting involved and raising my hand and asking the questions in class.
Yeah,
maybe cutting up a little bit. I was a bit of a class clown. I know that's a shock to everyone.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time wrapping my brains around that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you seem very comfortable, I think, on stage.
Well, I mean, that's a craft. I mean, it's something I still work on. I still get nervous.
Right.
Yeah. And I've spoken before thousands of people, and at one time in a room. I mean, our chairman's luncheon has 1,100 people in it every year. So, but I think that came mostly from, just my professional career, having to present and sell. So that helps. But then I would credit probably when I co-founded Argentus Pharmaceuticals, we were out raising capital. So I was on the venture capital circuit at all the conferences and shows and presenting our company. So you get comfortable there.
Right.
And then when I entered public service for the state of Tennessee, I was all over the state presenting.
Articulating value.
Yeah. And getting in front of people. So, I think it's practice though.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there for a while when I left the state and I was at the U of M, I didn't do a lot of public speaking, right? Which was different. And then when I came into this role at the chamber, it's like, boom, you got to go. And so I had to refine that a little bit, polish it off. Yeah.
I would agree. It takes, I don't think it comes natural to many people.
No.
And you really got to practice at it. Like anything, you got to practice at it. There's all sorts of things.
Well, and two, quite personally, I have drawn in a little more. I'm not as extroverted as I used to be. So it takes more work and more effort, energy. So my cup empties and then I have to fill it, right? And mostly because people are expecting the high energy, the chamber president persona, not just Ted, but it's a brand and people look to it and there are expectations there. And so I really try to bring it every time.
Right.
Whether I, wake up feeling it or not. but I, the thing is, the second I start telling our story, I can almost feel my dad's energy pick up, and we have such an amazing story to tell. No matter my energy level going into it, I always finish strong and respond to the audience hearing a stat for the first time or looking at our hometown here in Memphis in a different way. And I can see the acknowledgement in their eyes, and I go, okay, I gotcha. And, I feed off of that.
That's a powerful fuel.
It is.
When the audience is not staring at their mobile phones while you're talking. They're actually engaged.
I've had some really horrible experiences with that.
That was my next.
Yeah.
I want to hear. Do you have any that you can talk about?
Well, I
moments where you're like, oh,
I won't
Lord.
bust out the organization, But I was asked to provide a keynote, and they had it in a hotel room, a ballroom, right? But it was all in one. So they had the trade booths in the back of the room.
Uh-huh.
They had the tables, and people were eating,
Uh-huh.
and the the sound system didn't work that great, and they couldn't figure my slides out. I had a video, of course, the dreaded video and a PowerPoint. It's like, will it work or not? Of course, it didn't. And no one was really paying attention. And so, and the folks were mortified, the organizers. They were really trying to work the room and get people to stop. But, people were conducting business at the back of the room, and people were eating and conversing with one another at the tables, and it was just a terrible setup. So I blame that on logistics more than people being rude. They missed a lot of great jokes. So their loss. The other example I would give, again, I won't say the organization, but it was at the main ballroom in the Peabody, and I was asked to give welcome remarks, like, welcome to Memphis. We had people from all over the country come in for this event. And what I did not know going into it is that they had been drinking at a reception for like 3 hours.
3 hours.
Oh, yeah. And then they come into the ballroom for a dinner. I mean, nobody wanted to hear from me. And so, again, it was more the talk, and, they also missed some good jokes. I used the same jokes, but it's okay. It was new to me.
You probably could have made fun of them, and they wouldn't even have heard you.
Well, I kind of did.
You kind of did.
I took some jabs.
Yeah.
I did, because I knew, it had a couple of cities in particular that were
perfect
featured. And so I poked at them.
Why not?
Hey, don't come to my town and not pay attention.
Right. Rude.
Yeah, rude.
I agree.
But I've had better, more positive experiences than negative. Those are just.
Are you a teleprompter guy, or do you like to just go off? Just you got it here. Here's what we're doing. Teleprompter. I'm not even looking at it.
Yeah, so I would say I'm most comfortable without anything. No net. But there are moments that do require it, where you have prepared remarks, and that's where I get in trouble, because the prepared remarks are so good, right? They're so eloquent, and if I just stuck to the script, it would be, well received.
Right.
But then
But would it be TED?
It wouldn't be. Well, we've got a great team. So Julian Cross is our manager of communications here, and he's a great speechwriter, and he has found my voice.
Nice.
And that's not easy for someone to pick up on, especially in their first year here at the chamber, not knowing me or my history. But he does an amazing job capturing that. So he probably cringes the second that I look up from the script and just start going. But it's okay. I lose myself in that moment, and something will pop in, and then you have to know the room, and you have to be willing to adapt and grab them, somehow. And so, sometimes the script just doesn't get it.
Right.
And you got to go.
Doesn't have the energy, or doesn't have the personality.
Our chairman's luncheon, our mid-year chairman's forum, those are two events that, the program is, like the mid-year chairman's forum is an hour. And we got to get through that thing, right? So there is little to no room for me to elaborate or ad lib.
Yeah.
So I try to stay disciplined to that. You still have your moments where you can make it human, right? And people relate. But and the chairman's luncheon also is very tightly scripted. It's timed out. We've got an hour and a half. We got to get out because it's a lunch, right? You're going to lose people. So those two events in particular, I try to stick close to it.
Have you ever had just brain fade? What was I saying?
Yeah.
Where was I going?
Oh, absolutely.
How do you get out of it?
Well, I usually, for me, the anchor is our content, and I know it so well. And so, I typically will have that flash where it comes back and I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I was going to say. And here's the stat, by the way, while my brain catches up. You can't go wrong with stats.
Right.
But I am getting away more and more from PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Death by PowerPoint. People just cringe when they see you come in and they don't know how many slides and they just are terrified.
And they can't read them. So it's like,
I'm not going to debate whether or not they can read them, but I would rather have a picture up there and then just talk, or a number. I've done that before too. Like I've got a series of numbers and nobody knows what those are. And I'll ask, what do you think those numbers are? And then, I'll talk about, 102.9 is not a radio station. That is our gross regional product. That's our economy. 102.9 billion.
Love that.
So yeah, it just, you try to tease it and flip it so that people don't expect the usual presentation. Yeah. And when you talk about economy, it's tough.
Because it's numbers.
Yeah.
Primarily.
Yeah. It's sexy to me, but I know it's not to everyone. So
I think historically, there's a lot of great examples of, I mentioned Steve Jobs.
Mm-hmm.
He was fantastic at that. He would just show a picture.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Jeff Bezos, at some point in his ascent at Amazon,
from the garage,
he wouldn't allow it. You weren't allowed to use PowerPoint.
Yeah.
You had to know your stuff.
He must not have had Microsoft stock.
Right.
Okay.
Probably.
But no, I agree. I mean,
Elon's the same way, I think.
Yeah. And we still do. We still have, visual presentations.
Right.
But, when I told our team, when I was Chief Economic Development Officer here at the Chamber,
right,
and we had, I was on, you had to present to all of these prospects. I told our team, like, we need to be storytellers.
Uh-huh.
And so when we talk about the 4 R's, we need to make them feel it. And
for those who don't know,
the 4 R's?
Yes.
Reading, arithmetic. No, I'm kidding.
I thought there was an A in arithmetic. Wait, hold on. In Memphis, it's arithmetic.
Yeah. I just did that because I forgot them. No, I'm
you had a brain fade.
No, I did not.
Oh,
I did
darn
not.
it.
I could say them in my sleep. I probably do. But the 4 R's relate to our modes of transportation.
Right.
So, our commerce in Memphis began on the banks of the mighty Mississippi River. Our number one.
Right there.
So in terms of transportation, Sean, I'm going to quiz you on this now.
Oh, Lord, here we go.
You had
turn on.
river traffic, right?
Yes, we do.
Delivering products dating back to when? 1800s, right?
Well,
riverboats.
I have a genealogy book about 2 inches thick from my grandmother. Yeah. When the Irish side of my family came to Memphis, and it was just before the plague.
All right, you're taking me to school now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the riverboats were very, very heavy back then from Biloxi up to Memphis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. So what mode of transportation came after riverboat?
I would say
commerce?
I'm going to go with rail.
Rail. Ding, ding. Ladies and gentlemen, Sean Blankenship has won the next prize. I don't know what it is.
I don't either.
But yeah, the advent of rail in the United States and Memphis, because of that river, because of the connectivity, became a major rail hub. And to this day, we have all 5 Class 1 railroads that converge here, and we're one of only 3 cities in the U.S. that have all 5 with major intermodal operations and hubs. Okay, that's our second R, river, rail. What came next? Road. Exactly. Road. So we are the 3rd busiest trucking corridor in the United States. We have Interstate 40 that connects the West Coast to the East Coast, Memphis in the middle. We have Interstate 55 that connects Chicago to New Orleans, with Memphis pretty much in the middle of that too. We have the future Interstate 22, which will connect Memphis to Atlanta via Birmingham. And then I-69.
Yes.
Right? That connects Montreal with Monterey.
Oh.
With Memphis in the middle.
Right.
Like the alliteration.
Yes, that was well done.
Yeah, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen.
I've been at it a while. So that's our third R. And our fourth R.
And our fourth R is runway.
Runway. Yep.
Boom.
Memphis International Airport. 1971. Little company.
1971.
Known as FedEx was formed.
Little guy.
And,
little company.
Yeah, little company.
That's now what, third in the world in terms of the airport?
Yep.
Cargo?
Yeah. Third. And then, they're one of the largest airlines, if you think about plane and aircraft in the world. So, but, in 73, Mr. Smith started his operations, and, God love him, we just lost him this year, which is a tough hit. I was at the celebration of life this week, and it was
moving.
It was very moving. Yeah. And, it's interesting too. Now, we've done the 4 R's, but I'm going to tell you, I was talking to someone, I was presenting and talking about the concept of how we won a certain thing recently. And a big part of that was the digital delta that we submitted and what that means. And Mr. Smith and his son Richard actually coined that phrase. And the chamber, through their generosity and permission, trademarked it. So it's ours. If you say it, you owe me commission.
Oh Lord, that's why I send my commercial newsletter every month. My Delta. I sent it to you because I wanted to make sure you guys were okay with it.
No, yeah.
Because I feel Delta. It. I love it.
Yeah,
love it.
Good.
So
good. So I was speaking in terms of Mr. Smith in the present tense,
right? And
because that's.
He's omnipresent.
You kind of expect. That's just the way it is. It's always going to be. Yep. And it dawned on me. It just hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, oh, I'm speaking in present tense.
Yeah, probably won't change.
I don't think so. The legacy is present, and that's what's beautiful about it.
I was just going to say that a special moment. I was fortunate enough to be a guest of St. Jude. Over the weekend for the tournament, the FedEx St. Jude Championship.
Yeah.
I was there on Saturday, and
you look good.
Actually, I was.
Did you shave your legs for that?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
You noticed that?
Well, it was kind of shiny.
Actually, I was there on Wednesday as well, and I saw you finish up on 18.
Oh, terrible. Yeah. That was.
But Saturday was a moving moment where it was just that moment of pause and recognition of
at 2:59.
Yeah, and then so I had my family with me, and I said, "Let's go outside."
Yeah,
and sure enough, here comes the plane with FWS painted on it, and it was just it felt like Memphis stopped. Everybody, the whole world just stopped.
That's right.
And here comes this significant monument of a brand flying above. And oh, by the way, it did 3 passes, and those turns it made, wow.
Yeah, pretty impressive for a 777.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was like, holy moly.
Those pilots must have had a great day.
You know how fun that was. And they were low enough to where I don't want to embarrass one of my family members, but one of my family members was using the restroom.
Do they even listen to this?
Oh, that's a good one.
Go ahead.
That's good.
Just go ahead.
I can take it.
Bust them out.
I can take it.
So they were in the bathroom.
Shook. Didn't know what was happening.
Oh, no.
Then came out and had to explain.
Yeah.
You need to look up. So that's how low those guys were.
But yeah.
I'm assuming it could have been women flying. I don't know who it was, but very impressive.
Pilots. I didn't.
That's very good.
Assign gender.
I need to learn from you then.
Okay. Yeah.
But that was really impressive.
It was. It really was. Yeah, I was outside too and had the video, and
right.
That's one to keep for sure.
Right. Well, so we got the 4 R's. I think that's one of the most impressionable positioning statements when I first engaged with the chamber and went through probably one of your presentations. I just thought that was fantastic.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In terms of how to position, and really has an impact.
Well, I can tell a site selection consultant or a prospect, yeah, we're a major global supply chain hub. All right, now what?
Right.
Or I can say, set the hook with the 4 R's, and then, the wheels are turning like, well, 4 R's. What is that? And then when you tie it to the history of this place and its standing in what has always been a global supply chain hub,
right,
and then all the the modernity of these modalities that come out and develop, and how it has continued to add to our prowess.
Right.
And that's what's exciting, because the infrastructure is there, and we at the chamber have been able to adapt and now take that tether into where we're recruiting now and the types of industry that we're bringing in. I teed that up for you, by the way.
I'm doing my best to not dive into some of these things right now. I'm trying to romance where we're headed, because
I'm here for the dance, Sean.
Because people listening don't realize that there's nobody in this country, no chamber in this country, nobody in this country that I could be talking to right now that we are eventually going to talk about some major wins that nobody else can talk about. So that's pretty.
This is true.
You're in it every day, but for those of us that aren't, especially somebody like myself I've moved 12 times around this country in my career. It's amazing. It truly is. You're educated here, Ted? Memphis?
Yes.
University of Memphis?
Yeah. University of Memphis.
How was that
Go
experience?
Tigers.
Go Tigers. There we go.
It was great. I mean, I had a chance to go to another university, but I chose to stay home. And I was so glad I did.
Right.
I'm passionate about that university.
Right.
I support it. And season tickets, and I go to as many games as I can. And
I can't imagine.
Of course, I worked there too. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was
nice. So let's talk career then. Let's venture into what, obviously some of the big things that we're going to talk about. Argentus.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about that. Well, I'll let you talk. I had a predisposition about why I think you went down that road, but go ahead.
Well, I had actually co-founded another company where we were focused on talent recruitment in biotech.
Okay.
And so I was basically the premise or the methodology of the company was to build management teams and match them with technologies for commercialization. Right. So, I was focused on that tech transfer space, and, working with UT Health Science Center and the Research Foundation, University of Tennessee Research Foundation, and, the U of M and St. Jude even, they've got an office of tech transfer, and Southern College of Optometry. So anyway, it was fascinating because I began to see the inventory of technologies that were being developed that just needed, a team wrapped around it to take it to the next level, extract it from academia, right, in research, taking it from the lab to commercialization. So I was putting these teams together, and I was contacted by the president of the Memphis Biotech Foundation, which then became BioWorks. And he said, look, there's this technology at the Southern College of Optometry, and I think you would be interested in learning more about it and developing a team around it. So I went and met, and it was a therapeutic for dry eye. And I had a couple of folks in mind that could be good. And I would really start with someone who could be a CEO first. And so I met with this gentleman. I said, hey, let's go to the college and see their presentation. So we were both really impressed. And I asked him, I said, hey, do you want to pursue this? And he said, yes, but only if you come with me. And so we co-founded Argentus Pharmaceuticals. And we in-licensed that technology for dry eye, which had not been in clinical trials. but it had been in patient use. So it was targeting mostly perimenopausal and postmenopausal women who experienced dry eye. And it was based on research that came out of the Scapins Institute of Harvard, where they knew that androgens presented into the eye or around the eye would help alleviate because women have waning androgen levels as they get older. So there were a lot of different products, mostly drops,
Mm-hmm.
and the problem with an androgen in a drop is your eyes burn like hell.
Mm.
And so the efficacy wasn't great. And the faculty member and researcher at the Southern College of Optometry based here in Memphis took the premise of that and said, what if we had a different mechanism of action and delivery of the androgen? And so he picked a transdermal cream and put the active ingredient, the testosterone, into this vanishing cream, if you will, in a compounding pharmacy based here in Memphis, and began to use it with patients. And they had amazing results with no side effects. Well, one side effect. So they would place it on the lid margins,
Mm-hmm.
so above and below
Mm-hmm.
eyelids. And the side effect was it would tighten the lady's skin around their eyes.
That's a positive side effect.
Yeah. Well, L'Oreal has a patent on that. And trust me, they came swinging at us. It was fascinating.
Oh.
And so, again, it was one of those that we were positioning for a clinical trial. We were out raising capital. We were the first company in the BioWorks incubator. We were the investment one from Fund One of Innova. A lot of people don't realize that. We were the very first investment from them. And so we were out there at the same time as GTX. They got all of the press and capital here locally, which was great. But we were out there fighting as well and doing everything we could. And I don't want to go too long on this. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
It's a really interesting history because we battled that for a long time trying to make a biotech company go here. And there weren't a lot of resources at the time, patent attorneys and, compounding pharmacies and labs and all of that. So we actually were approached by Alcon, massive ophthalmic giant, right? Publicly traded. And they loved the product and they wanted to compete with Allergan, who had Restasis. Okay. And, in fact, we went with them. I went to their corporate headquarters in Fort Worth and we had great meetings. We talked about what a strategic partnership would look like or an acquisition. And they actually took us to an academic conference and they were telling everybody, this will be our new dry eye product. I was like, we were pushing term sheets across the corporate board desk. And I thought, man, my life is about to change. And then they went radio silent.
Mm.
Couldn't get an email return, phone call, nothing. And we're like, what happened?
L'Oreal.
No.
Oh.
Alcon was acquired by Nestle.
Oh, wow.
So they were in a blackout period.
A bigger fish came.
A bigger fish came. And Nestle came in and said, we're going to do a full assessment on your R&D pipeline. And we're not interested in dry eye.
And everybody can just stop working.
And they killed it.
Oh.
Yeah. So,
what do you think that would have done to your life at that moment?
Oh, well, I mean, our plan was to take the capital that we would raise from that transaction and build our company more. And the model then became, let's in-license these drug candidates and then build them up to, a commercialization point. And we didn't intend to be a fully vertical pharmaceutical company where we're, manufacturing and distributing. We just wanted to put the business wrappers around the technology and then, entice a strategic to come in and take it from there.
Yeah.
And that really, I think it was a model that could have worked. We had already branched out into other chronic diseases. So our criteria for in-licensing from local, that was the first thing. We wanted founding science institutions in Memphis. We were going to be a Memphis company. We didn't want a product from anywhere else because there were plenty of them here. And so then our next thing was, well, we want to focus on therapeutic candidates that target chronic diseases, things that people are really suffering from. And then we hoped that you had some patient safety and efficacy data, ideally from a clinical trial. And we ran across this therapeutic at UT Health Science Center for scleroderma, which is an autoimmune disease mostly affecting women. And it's as though, it presents with really tough patches of skin. And what's deadly about this disease is that it's an overproduction of collagen, and it builds up in the vascular structures of vital organs. And so most people die from, fibrosis, kidney failure, heart failure, lung failure. So UT had developed a drug based on a highly purified form of type 1 collagen, which is the very thing that the body was overproducing. And the idea was oral tolerance. So people were drinking it in orange juice in the trials. And over time I could get really nerdy here. The gut-associated...
You're doing pretty good, by the way.
Gut-associated lymphoid tissue. It was turning off the response to overproducing the collagen.
Nice.
So in the Clinical 1 trial funded by the NIH, Clinical 2 trial funded by the NIH, there were promising results.
Right.
And so we licensed it, and we're positioning it, for a pivotal phase 3. And so, we were going to use that transactional money to fund the clinical trial. And we went out and raised friends and family round, and we were getting ready for a Series A round of capital. That was a big step, like 10, 15 million. So we raised that friends and family in the spring of 2008. So we formed the company in 2005, went out, raised, the Innova funding, and got other angel investors involved here locally in the spring of 2008. And then the fall of 2008 happened and the world changed.
It sure did.
And we could not raise anything.
Yeah.
And we tried to position it with a few strategic partners, Genzyme, Shire. I mean, this was an orphan drug, right? It's an orphan disease. It only affects about 200,000 to 300,000 people, but those were blockbuster drugs if they got approved. And, and every one of those companies said, we love this. Bring us more data. And that means a trial, and you have to have capital for the trial. And so we couldn't do it. And I fought as long as I could. And then, in fact, our investor at Innova, he told me, Ted, you got to go pay the bills. And 2010 was the gubernatorial election where Bill Haslam was elected as governor of the state of Tennessee. And he began his term in 2011. And he was decentralizing economic development across the state and really focusing on entrepreneurship. And so Ken said, hey, it's probably as he called it, a political flunky position, but it'll pay the bills. And so I said, well, I guess I'll consider it. And I went to the Economics Club of Memphis, where the governor's then commissioner of economic and community development, Bill Haggerty, was speaking. And I went up to Bill after, and I said, my name's Ted Townsend. I'm co-founder of a biotech company here in Memphis. And, I'm kind of interested in your regional director position here in Memphis. And, Bill's background is entrepreneurship. He was one of the guys on the team that formed MapQuest, right? And worked at Bain Capital. And he said, Ted, we would love to have you on our team. So I became the first regional director of the Greater Memphis region, which comprised Lauderdale, Tipton, Shelby, and Fayette counties. So 4-county region.
Nice.
That's how I got into public service. because we couldn't raise capital. I mean, we got orphan drug designation in the U.S. and Europe. We filed patents in 50 countries. We were doing everything we could to add value, but it just didn't work out. But I took all of that, Sean, and applied it into public service. Right. And you had an administration that moved at the speed of business. Both, the governor and everybody he put around him were business people. And so it was a very fresh approach to governance.
Which is, I was going to say, that's very rare.
Yeah, it is.
I was thinking about economic development. So let's just keep going down that road. And I was like, my mental version of it was, you're in the middle. This is my version. You're in the middle of entrepreneurs, investors, businesses, big businesses.
Right.
And on the other side is government. And I think if you were to characterize that to somebody, say, would you like to do that? I don't think anybody would say, yeah, that sounds really exciting. Because there couldn't be two more polar opposites in general in this world than those two. But somehow you just articulated Haggerty and what he wanted to do in the state of Tennessee. And what I think we're all now seeing after a few years happening.
Right.
How does that happen? How in the world do you bring those two together at the speed of business to move the needle forward for a city like Memphis?
Yeah. Well, what's interesting in that is those aren't easy intersections between the private sector and the public
sector.
So business and government.
Right.
And the best conduit for that is a chamber of commerce.
Okay.
It really is. I mean, when you think about how you pull things together, when you speak on authority from the business community and you've got relationships with government at all levels, and you can say, look, this is what we need from you. You're not going to necessarily have CEOs come together and do that. They can and they will, but having that facilitator is really what expedites that connection and sometimes sense of urgency and an outcome. So at the state, we were really focused on existing businesses and recruiting new. And I was on that team where we won State of the Year in economic development, back to back championships. Like, that's the top. And we were getting Deal of the Year as recognized by Business Facilities Magazine. We were on a high. And these were projects all around the state, not just Nashville, right? I mean, when I was regional director, I was the point on the Nike expansion, which now they have the largest logistics center in their footprint here in Memphis. I was so honored to work that project. What a great brand and great company to work with. And then I got this, all of our projects are code names. It's like,
it's kind of like the car industry.
Yeah.
Code names before it goes into market.
Yeah. It's like the CIA.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. If I tell you.
CIA of economic development. But I got this I was invited to an attorney's office. I mean, didn't know anything going in. And everybody's at this table and I'm the state guy, right? And they said, this is Project Tiger. I was like, okay, what can I do to help?
Do I got to go find
I'm
a
with
tiger?
The government. I'm here to help. It was pretty intimidating room. But, I listened to what they were going to do and what they wanted to do and what they expected the state to do. And at the time, we were really focused on the cost per job of incentives and keeping that conservative. And what this company wanted would have been the highest cost per job in the Haslam administration. And so I had to battle for that one. And it ended up being the retention of international paper and their headquarters here.
Oh, by the way.
Yeah.
Wow.
And out of that project, you had the fourth tower that was built out there. And so every time I drive by that, I'm either that one or Nike. I'm just really proud that a small part of helping those companies stay here. Can you imagine a Memphis without IP or Nike? I mean, I can't. So,
And what a way to cut your teeth.
Yeah, baptism by fire.
Yeah.
But it taught me, localized advocacy and really turning heads in Nashville West, and so that was great. And then Bill appointed me as assistant commissioner of strategy. So I'd done all the business development, both existing business deals and recruitments to the Memphis market. And then he promoted me to assistant commissioner of strategy. So I had basically everything else in the department.
Right.
I had 5 different divisions. So it was small business, our business enterprise resource office, rural programs, federal programs, research, economic research, and what was the 5th one? Oh, innovation. So I was given at the time, 10 Invesco. So it was the venture capital effort of the state to invest in entrepreneurs, right? So those 5 divisions, all disparate, but I pulled them together, and I brought the team in. I said, we're going to work on a project. I'm going to make you all work on this project, and we're going to quantify the collective impact of each of your divisions on the state. So I want a total on every grant, every investment that we have made. And my thought was it would rival what we had done on economic development incentives. This, similar value. It was actually more. And so I presented that to Commissioner Haggerty at the time, and I said, there's more opportunity for us to turn some of these rural counties around. Like, we have too many distressed counties in Tennessee. We had 25 at the time. And I said our goal should be 0. And distressed counties are counties that perform in the bottom 10% nationally. And we had 25 of them. We only have 95 counties.
Wow.
Yeah. So work to do, right? And so
when you say, I'm sorry, when you say performance, right? 25 underperforming, what's the category? Is it like their little micro GDP, or is it education? Is it jobs?
Oh, yeah. It's based on poverty, median household income.
All right.
Yeah. So, we set about a strategy and a plan that the governor carried forward in his rural initiatives that are still playing out to this day.
What would that number be today, you think? Or do you know?
Oh, the distressed counties?
Yeah.
Oh, it's down to like 5. Yeah.
Wow.
Still work to do.
Wow.
But we took the lowest performing county, which at the time was Hancock County in Northeast Tennessee, and they were number 95 out of all 95. And I met with the mayor, and we had a big group, and I had all of the divisions and departments, state, federal, local. I met with the mayor, and I asked the mayor, because I was thinking, okay, we've got grants for natural disasters. Like, have you had a natural disaster that we could help direct some funding toward?
Mm-hmm.
And he paused, and tears welled up in his eyes, and he dropped his head, and you could have heard a pin drop in this room. And he looks up, stares me right in the eyes, and he said, "Ted, poverty is our disaster."
Wow.
Poverty. And so we set about developing what we called Project 95, where we wanted to just marshal all the resources to this county, just wrap our arms around them and invest in unprecedented ways. And so we used all kinds of funding, a really interesting capital stack to build a building that would be a call center, because they had been a county that had major call center operations that went away, went to India or wherever else, right?
And just gutted them.
And their main street had 4 pharmacies. 4. And you're asking
Per
yourself,
capita, that doesn't sound right.
It's not good, not good. So you know all of what that creates.
Zombies.
Yeah, and so but the people still had the skills, and so we worked with the TCAT, the community college, on a training program to update their skills in call center operations, and then we flipped the script. Normally, we're trying to recruit a company in, right, and what we did is we said, we have a building, major technology. It's plug and play, ready to go. You tell us why we want you. And so we put it out for bid.
Bold.
To companies.
Yeah.
And they were clamoring. They were like, oh, well, we'll be the best fit for the community because of this. And so instead of the community competing to be selected, the companies were competing to be selected by the community.
Wow.
And we placed...
You did a reverse auction.
We did a reverse. And we placed a company there. And we did a lot of other infrastructure improvements in the county. And I'm proud to say they are no longer a distressed county.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
What a great story.
Yeah. So that model, Sean, it is applicable to Memphis.
Well,
so we could take the most disadvantaged census tract or zip code here and do the same things. And now we're starting to see that with the 38109 zip code, which is obviously one of those that's been racked by generational poverty, right?
Right.
And so if you're intentional and you can invest in those communities, even at a micro level, we can flip it around. I've seen it. I know it works.
Yeah. You've done it.
I've done it.
Right.
Yeah.
So you've done, I mean, if I were to start packaging Ted right now a little bit.
It's careful.
Careful, right? But you've done the work, the ground. You've done you've done the day-to-day economic development work, which I'm assuming is a lot of positioning, a lot of writing, like literally. You got to put together presentations, and you got to organize teams and lead teams and things like that. And then you moved up a little bit broader, scaled it out with strategy, applied it. So then let's come now into Memphis.
Okay.
So you're not in the state anymore.
Well, you're missing some chapters there because it was.
Well, tell me about it.
Well, so Commissioner Haggerty made me his chief of staff, which you're like second in command. Okay. It was a great honor, and that was 2014. That was the reelection year for Governor Haslam. He got reelected, obviously, and so I'm chief of staff from September to December. I get a call from Bill, and he said, "Ted, I'm not re-upping with the administration. I'm going back into the private sector." And I thought, man, that's the shortest term chief of staff in the history of the state of Tennessee. And he said, I think you're going to like the guy the governor is looking to bring in here as my successor, and you'll be a great chief of staff. So I was like, well, new commissioner, they're going to bring in their own person. It ended up being Randy Boyd, who I had worked with on the Drive to 55 initiative. I was ECD's representative in that. And so I'd known Randy, and he came in to meet the team, and he had one-on-ones. And I sat down with him, and he said, "What the hell is a chief of staff? I've never had a chief of staff. I don't need a chief of staff. What do you do?" So I was like, "Oh man, this is not going well."
So did you hear I get to write my own job description, or did you hear I'm not going to be doing this anymore?
No, I heard I'm not going to be doing this anymore. So I just went about describing what I did, and I was basically managing the department,
right?
$500 million state agency, and at the end of that description, he said, "So basically, you're a chief operating officer." And I said, "What? Yeah, I mean, yes." And that's what I was in the private sector. He said, "Okay, you're my deputy commissioner and chief operating officer. Done." And I said, "Does that mean I have the job?" He said, "Yeah, you're not going anywhere." I was like, "No, the way you were talking, you didn't need a chief of staff." So he said, "No, I need you." I was like, okay, great. So we ran. I mean, literally, you had to run with Randy Boyd. In fact, that first weekend, that was a Friday, and I said, "What are you doing this weekend?" And he said, "Well, I'm going to Orlando, and I'm doing the Goofy and the Mickey." And I'm like, "You're doing the Goofy and the Mickey? What the hell are you talking about?" And I said, "What is that?" He said, "The marathons." I said, "The Goofy and the Mickey? They're both marathons?" He said, "Yeah, they're back to back." I said, "You're doing both of them?" He said, "Yeah, I'll see you Monday morning. I'm leaving Knoxville at 5 a.m. because I commuted from Memphis. So we would get on the phones every Monday morning during our morning commute. I would be on, Sam Cooper Boulevard at 5 a.m. And, he was leaving Knoxville at probably 4 a.m., knowing him, wait to call me at 5. And, we would catch up on the drive. And it was just a fascinating, I was so privileged to work for now Senator Bill Hagerty, who was ambassador to Japan, and then Randy Boyd, who's now president of UT, obviously. Randy ran for governor. He was commissioner and was wildly popular, and decided, he wanted to do more for the state. So obviously the re-election was or the election rather, is in 2018. So he's prepping for that. But when you run for governor, you have to leave the cabinet. And so he really wanted to position me as his successor, as commissioner. He said, I'll be back. Hold it for me. I'll be back. And so I interviewed with the governor and felt like I had it. I had been running the department. I knew it in and out. I defended the budget at all of the committees in the House and the Senate and had good relationships. But, I was acting commissioner for a whole month, and we announced LG. Big win. I signed the contract on that. So my name is on that one as commissioner. But, the governor brought in Bobby Rolfe as commissioner, and, Bobby was great too. So I got to serve 3 commissioners. But at that point, I realized I'd done everything. I'd reached the top. And I didn't want to be in the administration in the last year, right? The election year is it's kind of chaos. So I wanted to be in control of my own destiny. And it was 2017, and I was here in Memphis. I came back a little bit early to attend a board meeting. And on that board, I sat with President Rudd at the University of Memphis. And I pulled David aside after the meeting, and I said, "David, I'm looking to come back home, if you will." Again, I didn't move to Nashville. Would never do that. But I commuted. Yeah. And I did that for 5 years. Oof. And I was tired. So David said, "Well, your timing is perfect because I want the university to get into economic development more, and we've got a government relations position that's been open." I gutted that, wanted to go in a different direction, and he said, "You have all the contacts." So I said, "Tell me more." Yeah. So he created the position for me. And what a lot of people don't know is while I was the deputy commissioner at ECD, Phil Trineri would come to Nashville. I was pretty much the only Memphian up there, outside of General Gibbons, who was commissioner of Homeland Security. And so Phil would come up and we would meet, and he was always advocating passionately for Memphis, and he knew I would listen. And
for those that don't know,
Phil was the president and CEO of the Greater Memphis Chamber.
Right. Yeah.
And at the end of one of our meetings, he leaned across the table and he said, "You want to run a chamber?" And I think I jumped out of my chair. I said, "Yes, I do." Because I was already thinking, I got to get out of Nashville. Where can I land? I love this work. Right. And man, the chamber would be great. Right. And then here's Phil introducing this. And I thought, man, this is a dream. I'd always wanted to work for the chamber.
I think you've said it's a destination.
It's my destination job. Absolutely, 100%. But then, Phil was tragically killed, and that conversation died with him. And I didn't feel it was appropriate to raise my hand and say, "Yeah, but Phil said." And they could not have picked a better person in Beverly Robertson taking the reins. Right. And given the aspect of the tragedy
Right.
and how that unfolded. She brought a lot of calm and impeccable leadership at a moment that was desperately needed.
Right.
And so I was like, well, that's not my path.
Right.
I just resigned myself to it. And so fast forward, David creates this position. I leave the administration on January 5th of 2018, and I begin my new role at the U of M January 8th, and I'm right back in Nashville. But I'm lobbying. I'm lobbying for the university. I mean,
So you're physically somewhere else, but you're mentally and emotionally still here.
Yeah. So, we had a great run. We ended up raising, about $100 million for the university. We got the STEM research building funding. The state had never funded Lambeth, even though they kind of forced the University of Memphis to take that over when Lambeth closed, and they had never invested any capital projects. And we're like, we need a new nursing building. Let's go. And so we got the nursing building updated there. It was about $6 million. The STEM was about 40. And then we got $50 million in research funding, which had never happened. And we had this goal of becoming a Carnegie R1 research institution.
I remember hearing that, man.
So in my role, I did an economic impact study because we didn't have really an adequate one. It had been years since one was conducted. So I wanted to see the impact of the U of M on our localized economy. And it's at that time, $1 billion impact. And so the research shows that if you become a Carnegie R1, it's like a 4X return. So the thought was more research dollars coming in, you increase that 1 to 4, you'll feel that. And so we used that impact study to justify the state in funding the STEM building and funding $50 million in research. And now the U of M is a Carnegie R1 research institution. Right. And so, one of Beverly, went from interim to permanent, and she came in to meet with David Rudd at the university. And David wanted me in that meeting. So I'd known Beverly. I'd met her and Howard over the years, but I just gave my background, just a thumbnail sketch, and she said, "Why aren't you working for us?"
She said that in the meeting.
She did.
Yeah, good for her.
And I said, "Well, funny story." Yeah. I was thinking it. I was like, "Well, I was supposed to be, in that seat." But so she did end up recruiting me pretty heavily. And I met with David, and I told him about it. And he said, "Yeah, I know." I was like,
She
"Damn
probably,
it."
yeah.
Well, he said, it's a small town, Ted. He said, "What do you want to do? Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" And I said, "Well, I see myself as president and CEO of the chamber."
Yeah.
And I told him the story about Phil. And he said, "Well, I know everybody on that board." He said, "If you'll give me 2 years, we'll get you in a position." Not knowing what Beverly intended to do. But we'll put you in a position where, that board will consider you for that role. I said, "Great." So, Beverly's recruiting me, and I told her, I said,
"Yeah, how do you
it's
play
not
that?"
no, it's just not now. I've made a commitment. And so they did a national search. They had the senior VP of economic development position open. And they did a national search. They didn't come up with anyone. And here I am, so she knocked on the door again. And you don't tell Beverly Robertson no twice. I mean, who does that? Think about her career and her success with the National Civil Rights Museum and how much she raised. She didn't take no for an answer, clearly. So I just told her, I said, "Beverly, I want to help. I do. I feel like I can. But please talk to my boss, because I gave a commitment and I want to honor that." And so she called David. I immediately get a call from him. And I thought, man, I'm going to be in trouble. But he said, "Hey, Beverly and I have come up with this idea. What do you think?" And it was a hybrid.
Okay. I was wondering,
Yeah. And this was, 2020. So we're in the throes of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was really interesting, but I said, I'll do it with the condition that I remain an employee of the University of Memphis. And the reason being is that, I was almost vested in the state. I almost had 10 years service in, and my daughter was at the university, and I enjoyed that 50% discount on tuition. And with her scholarships, they were actually writing her a check to go to school. So it was pretty cool. And I wanted to stay there for her and for the university, but we had some things to get done, and some of those things we did get done, just like I said. But I'm balancing this role of marketing Memphis for the chamber and doing my day job, if you will, at the U of M. Right. It's really difficult to serve two masters, which I found out. But I get a call, fast forward to January, February of 21. Mm-hmm. So I began that hybrid role on 901 day, September 1st of 2020. February-ish of 21, I get a call from Bobby Roth, my former boss at the state. He said, "Ted, I need you. I need you to help us on Project Aurora," another code name. And I said, "Okay, I'm here. Plug me in. I'm ready to sell Memphis." And so Project Aurora ended up being Ford. And, we went from principally January to announcing it in September. It was the fastest economic development project I'd ever worked. I've been a part of that team, and it was great. It was the Jackson Chamber, the Memphis Chamber, it was TVA, it was, all the municipalities came together and said, "We want you." And of course, you had the state coming in big, and I had the experience. I'd done these deals, and then representing the U of M, the Koreans with SK, they were asking, where are we going to get our engineers? And I won't say who in the meeting went into this, but they said, "We've got a great university, Tennessee Tech and Vanderbilt." I'm like, "What the hell are you talking?" I stood up and I said, "Your hometown university is the University of Memphis, and there's also Christian Brothers University, which has an incredible engineering program. But here's the University of Memphis. We've got 6-degree programs. If you want 7, 8, and 9, we'll build that too. And here's our enrollment. Here are our completions." And I don't know what took over me, but I just felt like that was our moment. We had to
stand up.
Yes. And we had to give them confidence that they could get their workforce here. And the Koreans came up to me after, and one grabbed my arm, kind of patting my arm, and he said, "We believe in the University of Memphis." And
how about that?
And one of my colleagues the next day, and this is hyperbole, but they said, "Well, we heard you saved the project." And I didn't. It wasn't that, but it was a
moment.
It was a moment. And and we did our thing. Like, we hosted them at the Hyatt Centric, and the Koreans were so impressed with that. And I called Chance Carlisle. I said, "Chance, get your posters out for the Grand Hyatt. I want them to see the investment that's going into downtown Memphis." And we got them on a bus from the Hyatt Centric, and we drove out to the mega site. And all the while we're talking about the region, right? And I had on my phone, I started the timer. So from Riverside Drive, getting on I-40 to the mega site, it was 40 minutes. It was 12 minutes from Arlington. And so we told them, this is not far, because they thought it was in the middle of nowhere. And it was a 40-minute commute from downtown in rush hour.
Wow.
So, it was those moments that a lot of people don't know about that went into, I think, building the confidence that, they were going to make this selection, and they did. And so when that happened in September of 21, I realized, okay, we're about to get busy and I really need to focus. So, I went full time at the chamber as chief economic development officer.
That's when you made in
October of 21.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Beverly made her intentions known that she was going to leave the chamber at the end of 22. And I was very fortunate that our board voted to have me be her successor. in June of 22. So
you went real quickly. You went right into Blue Oval City.
Mm-hmm.
Frame it for the listeners real quick.
Yeah.
Give your 2-minute impactful. What is Blue Oval City for those that have no idea what you're talking about?
Yeah. So Blue Oval City is a joint venture between Ford Motor Company and SK Innovation. And the idea was to and mind you, this represents the largest greenfield new build investment in the last 50 years of Ford Motor Company, the largest. It also represented at that time the largest single investment project in the state of Tennessee's history.
Okay.
And so the idea was to build an all-electric facility with the new pickup truck, whatever that would be.
Code name, whatever.
Yeah. So, based on the success of the F-150, which is the most popular vehicle in America, actually in North America. So that was the idea. It would be an all-electric truck, and the SK partner would build the batteries for it. And the idea was, a new truck would come off the line every 50 seconds, if you can imagine that.
That's amazing.
So it was, truly transformational.
Right.
And it was going to forever change the trajectory of West Tennessee, especially, So I was really proud to work on that. But it's at that time announced as a $6 billion project, 6,000 jobs. And now what you're talking about is like, millions and millions of square feet that's already built out and suppliers on site. So it's really incredible.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It really is impressive. And so we're at Blue Oval.
Yeah.
The Blue Oval moment, which is if someone is lucky enough to have a moment like that in their entire life, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But
well, can I just tell you, I the way I found out. I got a call. It was a Friday, okay, and I'm walking. I live downtown, so I'm walking home, and my phone starts to ring, and I look down, and it's a Michigan area code. I'm like, what the hell? I almost didn't take it, but I answered, and it was one of our main contacts, Gabby at Ford, and she said, "Hey, Ted." I said, "Hey, Gabby." She said, "We've selected Tennessee, and we're going to make the announcement Monday. Can you help us?" I was like, "What? What help do you need? What do you want from me?" And she said, "Well, we're thinking about where we're going to have the announcement." It ended up being at Shelby Farms Park. Nobody knew this stage was being built out over the weekend, and they said, "We're kind of thinking we want the music ties between Detroit and Memphis." I'm like,
"Oh, I love it. Love it.
Yeah. Okay." So I get off the phone. I call the team here at the chamber. I'm like, "I need help." It was like all hands on deck. So we called Stax, and
Soulsville.
Pat Mitchell, Worley, and we just built
Motown meets Soulsville, right?
Yeah. And so we built that out over the weekend. They did rehearsals. They got in the studio.
That's fantastic.
And the Ford team, of course, they outsource this to a major events coordinator, and they do stuff for Disney and all the big shows. And they were so blown away by how quickly we responded to it, and the enthusiasm that we met the moment with. And then we were writing the prep speech, because Gabby was like, we. And I'll just be honest with what they said. We don't want the stage just to be, 4 white men. Do you know of anyone impactful from the Memphis community? I said, well, you couldn't ask for anybody better than Beverly Robertson. She's our president and CEO. And they loved that. And so we prepped Beverly for, the main stage with the governor and the Ford, Bill Ford. And, it was a moment, man.
That's something else.
It was just incredible. I get chills even thinking about that day, that Monday in September when we announced it to the world.
Well, the story has been good, because I think for a lot of people that just know you as the president and CEO of the chamber, they don't realize that you've been running at a very high level and at a very high speed.
Yeah, we've been sprinting
for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're conditioned for what everybody's now seeing. Just didn't happen overnight.
No. Again, I wake up every day expecting Memphis to win.
That's awesome.
When you win State of the Year, and you know what that feels like, and you know the impact.
Right.
I wanted to bring that home, I did.
Yeah.
I wanted Memphis to experience what that feels like.
Right.
And Ford was a big part of that. That became a deal of the year. That helped Tennessee back to getting it. They hadn't had it in a while, and it was kind of nice to get the hardware again.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to go real quickly,
Mm-hmm.
just back to the 4 R's.
Mm-hmm.
And let's go to when you're now president and CEO.
Yeah. I began, my first day on the job was at the annual chairman's luncheon in December of 22.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
December 22. So now you're somewhat shifting gears, but you're not. You're just elevated, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you're the guy.
Mm-hmm.
When you started thinking about positioning Memphis,
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine you're thinking about what are the pillars,
Mm-hmm.
right, that me and the team are going to do from an economic development standpoint,
Right.
to position Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
Was it the 4 R's?
I mean, they contribute, sure.
Okay.
But we do, everything we do is based on data. So, going back to when I was at the state, we formed the Center for Economic Research of Tennessee
Okay.
at the department. So everything was data driven at the state. And I wanted the same
Here.
to be done here. And we had gone through the Brookings Inclusive Economic Indicators Lab, along with Indianapolis and Orlando. And so we had these economic indicators that came out. We call it MIM measures. And, it shows the strength or lack thereof of our
Mm-hmm.
economy. And,
Mm-hmm.
and then we took that, we wanted to compare ourselves with other peer cities,
Right.
kind of in the central spine of the U.S., similar populations, demographics, industry mix. And as you can imagine, we did not fare well. And so,
And this is
pretty much
2023 now. We're probably into 2023, right?
yeah, well, no, not really. I mean,
Okay.
it was, 21-ish, where we were really publishing the results the first time. And we were in the bottom quartile, with the exception of one data point where we were number one. And that was the percentage of IT positions held by African Americans. So out of the cohort of 10, so we pulled in 9 other cities.
Right.
We were number one in that. And at the time, you had the McKinsey report come out, and then the Wall Street Journal article that said basically, if you're a tech CEO and you want to diversify your workforce, you better go to where that talent is. And predominantly, it's in the Southeast U.S. And here I am raising my hand, not just the Southeast. We're number one in that. We thought it was Atlanta. And so when I looked at the top 53 markets in the U.S. with a population of 1 million or more, all the big metros, we were still number one. And so that became
Leaned into that.
Yeah, that became part of the marketing. I mean, I went to Redmond, Washington, and I met with Microsoft and their corporate officers, and I got them here to Memphis. A lot of people don't know that.
No.
Yeah, and they said, Ted, this is amazing. We wish we had known about it 2 years ago, because we just committed to Atlanta.
Right.
And they built this beautiful building downtown, moved 1,500 LinkedIn engineers there. Mm-hmm. So that stung. It hurt, but it was validation. And we continued to take that forward. And in fact, that brings us back to Mr. Smith. That was a pivotal moment where we went in, presented this to him. And I had the presentation printed out. And as I'm going through it, Mr. Smith had flipped through it like 3 times before I even finished. And I got to that one slide that had, all 53 top cities, and Memphis is at the very top, with the bar is much higher. They're not even close, right? And so we finish up, and he's holding up the paper presentation on that slide. And he said, not much in my career surprises me anymore. He said, but this is shocking. And he said, I know FedEx played a role in Memphis having this concentration of black tech talent. And he was right. And he said, the world's catching up to the fact that FedEx is a technology company that happens to move packages. And he said, we're the digital delta. This effort has been tried, the Silicon Valley, the Silicon Bayou. He said, we don't have to do that. We're already the digital delta. Boom. Mic drop.
Big moment.
Yeah. So we took that forward as a marketing platform. And then, fast forward to March of 24, we were ready.
That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
When a little startup AI company called.
Yeah.
Is that a transition?
That was a good one. That was a good one.
We have 2 more hours? No, I'm kidding. We only have like 30 minutes.
Should we get lunch brought in? Or? So I definitely. And
I can come back for part 2.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm passionate about Mr. Musk.
Yeah.
I also want to hear a little bit about that, but I also want to hear a little bit about Prosper Memphis 2030.
Yeah.
Because you've been hitting your marks on it. You're in front of that.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, that getting back to your previous question, the Prosper Memphis 2030 is our strategic plan to address those MIM measures that we want to improve.
Right.
And so, yes, the 4 R's are part of that: infrastructure investment, but it's workforce and it's diversifying our economy, bringing in high quality jobs. And Brookings told us, if you want to be in the top quartile, here are 3 main goals out of those metrics that you need to focus on. If you were to announce 50,000 jobs, net new high quality jobs, 700 advanced industry firms, and 20,000 STEM graduates per year, you would be in the top quartile of those cohort cities. So that really became the clarion call for us as an organization. And we wrote our strategic plan, Prosper Memphis 2030. And it's the first independent strategic plan that the Chamber had written in 20 years. We'd been a part of other collaboratives that were focused on our economy, but this was just what we were going to do, And we've got great support from our board and our Chairman Circle investors, which you guys are. Thank you. And we launched into that. And so where we are today, we're like 5 years into this 10-year strategic plan. So the measurement is from January 1, 2021 to December 31st, 2030. That's a 10-year period. So we're almost halfway in 2025. And we've announced nearly 20,000 of those 50,000 jobs. So we're a little bit behind pace, but they're high quality jobs. And in each of these metrics, we have a minority goal. So for the jobs, we want at least 50% of those jobs that we bring into our economy held by African Americans. We're at 53% right now. We have brought in over 400 advanced industry firms. And so we're well ahead of the pace.
You're ahead of the game there.
And then we're right at 10,000 STEM completions per year. So we're about midway on that too. So and you're starting to feel this change.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said earlier, our economy has changed. I mean, it went from 22 at 96 billion. That's the aggregate. That's like our gross domestic product. So what we produce that we send out to the world, 96 billion. We increased that to 102.9 billion in 2023, and that was before xAI came in. So,
segue.
Yeah,
and if I'm not mistaken, this goes back to last spring at South by Southwest. Am I right on that?
Yeah.
All right, take it from there.
So technically, March 4th, we had our first meeting with the company representatives. It was all of Elon's top lieutenants. And they sketched out what they were looking to do. They had been looking at 50 markets. They had narrowed it to 8 or 9. We weren't even on their radar. But the Phoenix Investment Group, who had purchased the Electrolux building, had been meeting with us even before the turn of the year. And we were showing them how we market their asset. And they loved it. They said, no chamber presents like this. And we want to help you with your prospects, and we want to bring our prospects to you. So the chairman of Phoenix called Troy Parks on our team on Sunday, March 3rd, and said, hey, we've got this company we've been working with. We've done deals with them before in Texas, and they've got a startup AI company, and they're looking at the facility. They are intrigued. 800,000 square feet, existing infrastructure and power. It's a former manufacturing site. So he said, can you organize a meeting tomorrow morning or tomorrow at 1? This is Monday, March 4th. So we said, absolutely. This is what we do. So we, Avengers assemble, and we get on, we start to see the email domains, and we're like, holy crap.
That was the first moment.
Yeah.
You knew that we're
and
on.
it wasn't an xAI domain. It was Neuralink and SpaceX and Tesla, and
start putting it together.
Yeah. So we had that meeting, and at the end of that, I kicked things off. I was given the why of Memphis, and then Doug McGowan with MLGW presented, and I needed him on this call. I said, Doug, this is big. I think this is really big, and you've got to be there. Not someone on your team, but you. I'm taking it. You're going to take it. So we presented, and then Phoenix also presented on like the infrastructure, like what could be possible to ramp up the power at the speed at which they wanted. Now, mind you, they wanted to be in first phase operations by June 1. This is March 4th. And so we had the presentation out there, and they said, you're the first community to have the concept of a plan to get to the power that we need in the time that we need it. So we felt that was pretty good. They said, can we meet Wednesday? We need the following things. Sure, we can meet Wednesday. Wednesday happened, went really well. They said, okay, can we meet Friday? We want these things now. Sure, we'll meet Friday. And all of these are virtual, right? So we met Friday. I felt like it went well. I get on a plane to Austin for South by. And so we're focused on the moment there. And while I'm there, I'm on the phone with Mayor Young, and I'm giving him a heads up. I'm like, hey, this is feeling pretty good. We had other detractors already saying this is just another data center. It's just going to be a power suck, and it's only going to be 30 jobs. Don't do it.
Real quickly, I hate to. You're going.
Yeah.
But the gravity or the size of what you just took us through.
A week?
Can we talk to you tomorrow? Can we meet? So within 7 days, and you didn't do this in a vacuum.
No.
When you say you had to assemble the Avengers, you're not just talking about a few people in the chamber.
No.
Right. You had to get this, let's quote unquote, the city.
Yeah.
You had to get some key people together to move.
We did.
At Elon Musk speed.
Yes, we did. And it got on lockdown. Like we signed non-disclosure agreements, right. And because the company did not want incentives, we were not including government officials in that capacity any longer. It was really just us, MLGW, TVA, and the Phoenix group.
Got it.
So yeah, in the span of a week, I'm in Austin. We're having a great time at South by, really promoting, Saturday is our Memphis Day, our 901 day in Austin. And I get a call from Troy, and Troy said, and he's back here in Memphis, right? He's not in Austin with us because everything is moving so fast on this project. And he said, Ted, Elon likes what he hears, and he said, if Memphis is serious, they'll meet with me on Sunday. I said, hell yeah, I'm in Austin. I'll go to his house. Where do I need to be?
I don't think he has a house.
I don't know. I was just enthusiastic. I was like, hell yes, we'll meet on Sunday. Right. So we got the team back together on that Sunday, and I leave South by, I go across the street to the hotel, and I'm nervous as hell and trying to find a place with good Wi-Fi. And I open up my iPad, take a deep breath, click the Teams link, and the boxes start to
fill in. My top left, Elon Musk. Here we go.
And what his team had told me and told us, do the same thing you did on Monday. Ted, you sell Memphis. Doug, you talk about the power. And Phoenix, you talk about the scale of power. And I was like, okay, cool. So game on. Troy does the soft intro, hands it to me. And I start to go in my pitch of Memphis. Elon cuts me off so abruptly. I don't need to hear about Memphis. I was like, oh shit, I can't cuss on this, can I?
What am I going to say? You can cuss.
I can?
Yeah.
I said, oh shit, I fucked this up. And I was like shell shy. I was like, Doug, take it away. But he didn't need to be sold on Memphis.
He just wanted to get, he was already there.
He said, he was like, I want to talk about the engineering and the power.
Yeah, power. Yeah.
So and we had great answers. He had tough questions, and we had great answers, and we felt pretty good. I closed the iPad. I went back over, still in a daze, back to the South by programming, and that night we got the call. Elon gave his team the green light to pursue Memphis. So in a week, we closed that deal. I thought 9 months with Ford was breakneck. A week, unheard of. And then, to hear that they wanted to build the world's largest supercomputer, and then to go from March to May 31st, when Elon comes to Memphis the first time to see the facility, it was just fascinating. We kept it under wraps.
Yeah.
Nobody knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And all that work was being done in the facility. And, he comes in on Friday, May 31st. And we literally that day turned the gas on for the turbines to generate the power.
Wow. That's something else.
And, we do we thought that they were just going to stay in. And then I get a frantic call. Elon wants to go to dinner. I'm like, oh shit. I'm at Catherine and Mary's having a cocktail at the bar. And I go, okay, well, and so I met with them. I'm like, is your private dining room available? I need it for 8, 9 o'clock. I don't know exactly what time yet. You just have to be flexible with me. And they said, no, it's actually not. So I called Chance Carlisle, Amelia Jean's is his restaurant. And I said, I can't tell you who this is. I can't tell you what it's about, but I need your whole restaurant. He said, we do this all the time for the NBA teams. We're ready to, we got you. And I said, great. I need everybody on your team to sign an NDA in the next 30 minutes. And he said, okay. And I said, I'm coming down and we're going to get that circulated, get everybody sign it. And he said, okay. So I went, met with the security at Amelia Jean. Well, it's really the hotel security folks. And I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to come through the back entrance. We're going to go into this. It's going to be curtained off. Nobody's to see who comes in here. Got that all done. And I'm at the bar in Amelia Jean's, and this white Tesla pulls up to the very front of the restaurant. He walks right through the front door. I'm like, God damn.
There goes that.
There goes that. And they still had some people seated. And I know these people, and they're looking at me, and they're looking at Elon walk through with his, security detail, and then all of his team, in these, T-shirts and jeans and hats that say xAI and Dell.
Cat's out of the bag for those folks.
Kinda, yeah. But they weren't quite sure. They just knew Elon Musk is in Memphis. What the hell? And so
he was on. I'm trying to think of the time frame, but he had a heightened security. At the time.
Well,
what was going on outside of obviously xAI?
Not really at that point.
It hadn't picked up yet. Okay, all right.
No, because this is May of 21. I mean May of 24.
24. Okay.
And June of 24.
So it hadn't really gotten heated yet.
No.
Right.
So they had a great dinner at Amelia Jean's. Shout out to them. Go dine there if you haven't.
Nice,
They're a great partner. Love what they do, but they were so accommodating, and nothing broke. I'm not talking about a plate or anything, but nothing broke in the news, which was just amazing to us. So Saturday morning we get up. I'm invited to go to the tour where he sees it for the first time, and I'm literally walking in this group, and his team told us he might live stream this on X and announce it to the world. And he's enthusiastically, he's got his phone up. I'm holding my phone up for the listeners. He's got his phone up, and he's, doing the panorama, and he's just giddy. He's so excited to see how much has been built in, 122 days. He couldn't believe it. And I thought, I was on the Starlink network, and I'm frantically texting the team back here at the chamber. I'm like, has he, and this is a Saturday, so they weren't at the chamber, they were at home. But I was like, has he posted anything? I mean, he's taking a shit ton of videos and nothing. And so we finished the tour, and I mean, Dell is there, Supermicro, NVIDIA, all the xAI team, everybody who's anybody. Valor Capital, Sequoia Capital, the blue chip funds that are funding this thing, they're all there. And we go into this room, and I'm actually invited to sit there. I'm the only Memphian in the place. And we sit down, and there's a hush that kind of falls over the room. And Elon is standing and kind of pacing back and forth. You know, he's wearing his black t-shirt and black jeans. And he's almost vibrating with energy, you know, and excitement. And he faces the crowd, all of us, and he said, "We're going to haul ass in Memphis." And he thrust his fist into the air and he says, "LFG," just like that. And I got chills.
Wow.
I was like, wow.
He was
and
pumped.
then he laid out his vision.
Yeah.
And he said, you know, this is a race. AI is a race. And I see the market being 60-30-10, or 60-30-10, and we're going to be 60% of it. He said, we have to build it better. We have to build it faster. And it was that day he was asking his team, he said, how did you guys get this built so fast? And I'm not kidding you. You can't pay for this, but his team told them the chamber cleared the roads for him. And he said, well, they're on our team. And so we formed a special ops team here at the chamber to serve them 24/7, basically. And he decided that very day, which we couldn't announce, but he decided that day they were going to double it. So they had built out 4 data halls, 100,000 GPUs, NVIDIA chips, all the servers that support it. And that day he decided
200.
we're going to 200. And so, you know, it now fast forward, you know, a year of operation. They've invested $12 billion into Colossus One. And yes, that's with a B.
Ooh.
And they are already our second largest taxpayer, only behind FedEx, who's been operating for 5 decades.
Right.
We know the impact of FedEx on our economy, right?
Right.
They're our second largest taxpayer.
Wow. And I recently saw that they're actually, some of those funds are going to improve 4 or 5 schools.
Yes.
In the area.
That's right. Yeah, and that's been a journey too. I mean, obviously this project,
are you getting, is the bat phone ringing?
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So, what's that?
Oh, she's going to plug in the computer. Make sure it doesn't die.
Yeah, we'll make sure that doesn't happen. Yeah, so, you know, the controversy around it, you know, and that's when we didn't know that, you know, Mr. Musk would get heavily involved in the election and, you know, Doge and all of that.
Right.
And that has polarized, you know, the community to a degree. But I think we have settled that now. And yeah, they see that they need to invest in Memphis. They want to invest in Memphis. I mean, they're going to build
from the beginning. I think they said that
they're going to build an $80 million wastewater facility and protect our aquifer,
which will be the first.
It would be the first and largest of its kind in the world. And you know, it's pretty fascinating.
Right.
So, and now they're going to invest in these 4 high schools, and many of these high schools, Sean, have never hosted a home football game under Friday night lights because they don't have the facilities. But they're going to build STEM labs and AI labs and update the HVACs and all of them.
Yep. Windows, paint.
Yeah,
just
everything. I mean, you know, you're talking in-kind investment could be $80 million. I mean, there's no telling. But
what
it's
a
going
ride.
it's going to transform those high schools forever. And so they're helping to keep the Boys and Girls Clubs open. That, you know, obviously they had some funding issues, and we're going to have to close 9 of those, but we're going to keep all 9 open. I mean, it's going to be amazing. And now you have Mayor Young with a resolution that's going to direct, you know, up to 25% of that net new revenue from xAI to the city of Memphis into the 38109 zip code. So going back to Project 95, where my head
circle,
is,
yeah.
it's like, well, that whole area is about to be completely transformed, as they should be. I mean, you've had generational poverty there. It's too long.
Right.
And we can't be satisfied with that as a community, as a chamber. I mean, that's what we do. We're not satisfied with any double-digit percentage poverty levels in our community.
Nope.
And we won't rest until there is truly shared prosperity felt by all.
And that has such a magnitude effect on so many other things within the community. I feel like we're sneaking up towards at the end of chapter 1.
Yeah, I can come.
If
back.
if you'll
have me back,
I would love that.
Yeah,
because we got so much more to talk
so
about.
much more.
If you were to plug your brain, if you were to take a Cat 5 and just plug it right into xAI's Colossus, what would you ask it to tell you to do for the Greater Memphis Chamber moving forward? What's you've got the project 2030.
Yeah.
But what's the big hairy goal?
Well, I mean, all due respect to Grok, I don't need to do that. I have the answer. And it's this. We have shifted our focus to the supply chain of AI. So what does it take to create AI? Chips, servers, cooling systems, fiber, power.
Energy. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what better location in the world than Memphis, Tennessee, if you're a high-tech manufacturer producing product to create AI than putting your operation here.
Yeah.
You can get all the raw material in very efficiently with all of our 4 R's, and you can fabricate, produce, manufacture, and get it out to your customers who, in many cases, their largest customers here in Memphis. But now you've got Google coming into West Memphis. You've got Amazon in Canton, Mississippi. You've got Meta in Monroe, Louisiana. I mean, that's the digital delta.
Right.
And so I don't even need Grok to tell me we're going to seize that moment.
Right.
We're going to go after all of the high-tech manufacturing of AI, which AI is not going anywhere. So those are resilient jobs, manufacturing jobs, advanced industry jobs, which go back to the Prosper Memphis 2030.
That's it.
And so we will now be that nexus of not just having the world's largest supercomputer, which, mind you, is going to get even bigger, and we talk about that in chapter 2. But we're going to be producing the products that supports AI globally. And that is what will transform Memphis's economy forever. I mean, this is a generational shift.
It is.
And when we've done the back of the napkin economic impact on just xAI alone, what they're investing here over the next 2 years, it's a 45% increase in our GDP. And in the history of the United States, no city has ever grown 45% in 2 years. Now, a lot of things have to happen for that to be fully realized, but we're well within target. And that really would place us only behind Austin. So imagine if any of your listeners have been to Austin or Nashville. A lot of times I will try to paint the picture for folks so they get it. Like, our next 10 years are going to be what Nashville's last 10 years have been. Buckle up.
What a great way to finish up chapter 1.
Yeah.
Ted Townsend, President
Yes.
CEO, the greatest Memphis Chamber.
We'll take it.
Thank you very much for your time today.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
we'll talk about the hardware next and more xAI.
yeah, there's just
plenty.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So awesome. Very grateful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's a wrap.
All right. Yeah. I've got to